Doing a proper Michael Jackson movie is borderline impossible, but with this recent Michael film, this is more of a Sparks Notes version. I've been listening to Michael Jackson for like 3 days straight at this point, and I don't know if biopics can technically have spoilers, but we're talking everything. Michael is a movie that had me extremely nervous from the moment they announced this was happening. I grew up a huge Michael Jackson fan. I'm talking about my parents had vinyl records, we had the CDs, we had the VHS tapes, if you know what a VHS is. We had a VHS with all his music videos on it. We even had a Smooth Criminal movie where he turned into a freaking car. And whenever I tell people about it, they always think I'm playing, they always think I'm joking, but I promise you, that is a legit movie. I used to do the moonwalk in my socks. I used to do the crotch grab, the crotch thrust, the hip thrust, whatever you want to call it. I, like a lot of people in the 90s, wanted to be Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson died when I was 15 years old, and it's crazy because I remember vividly exactly where I was when that moment happened. I was on vacation in Orlando, Florida. I was in the hotel room with my family. We were eating lunch, and then the news came across the TV. Instant vibe killer. But I saw a lot towards the end of Michael's life, so I know a lot about the controversies. I know a lot about the lawsuits, the allegations. I saw a ton of documentaries on his life. I know a lot about Michael. It's so much stuff that happened in this man's life from the moment that he was a child to the moment that he died. So it's impossible to cover everything, especially in a 2-hour movie. So what we got with this Michael film is a speed run of about half of his life. But what we did get, I thought was pretty good. Jaafar Jackson, the nephew of Michael Jackson, plays Michael, and honestly, it's kind of weird just how good he was. It's like in some scenes, he looked really weird, but then in other scenes, he looked almost identical. Now, Michael Jackson had a very unique look, if you want to say that, so it's impossible to look exactly like Michael Jackson, but for a lot of this movie, he looked close enough that it didn't bother me. Sometimes he looked so much like him that it kind of made me uncomfortable. It's the same thing with his voice. I mean, we all know Michael had a very unique way of talking, but I thought Jaafar's mannerisms, the voice that he used, was almost perfect. And it's being reported that this is Jaafar's first acting role. So for your first acting role, is for you to be acting like the biggest and greatest artist of all time, and you just so happen to be related to him. I thought he was great in this. So I thought Jaafar was great in this movie. And I can say the same thing about Colman Domingo playing Joe Jackson. Even though Colman did look pretty weird in this movie, but at the same time, respectfully, Joe Jackson did look really weird in real life. But Colman's performance was the best part of this movie, and Joe Jackson was the main villain of the story. This man, Joe Jackson, was Osama bin Laden. This man was a terrorist. I don't know if this particular thing happened in real life, but we all know the story about Michael Jackson burning his head during the Pepsi commercial. In the movie, this man, Joe Jackson, was like, damn, my son almost died. When is he gonna be able to perform again? My theater was really packed when I saw this, and in the movie, when Michael became an adult, it got to a point where the crowd in my theater, they would literally suck their teeth and groan every time Joe Jackson popped up on that screen. Like, this man was a true villain. Colman gave a great performance. Another thing that I loved about this movie was the production. Like, my favorite scene was later in the film where Michael was performing Human Nature. Again, it just felt like Michael, although in a way it is cheating because Michael Jackson's music is so amazing. Like, I'm not even a big dancing person, but between the scenes with the Jackson 5, Billie Jean, Beat It, Human Nature, and some of the other scenes, I saw the people in my theater, they were all grooving, everybody was having a good time. I found myself, my head was bobbing, my shoulders was moving. I enjoyed it. People in my theater were literally clapping after every major musical set piece. They were clapping like this was actually Michael Jackson on stage performing and singing, and not just his nephew lip singing for a movie. Like, I love the scene where Michael was trying to get his music put on MTV, because back then MTV wasn't playing music from black people. I love the scene where Michael is in the meeting and he points out the guy that he wants to work with, Miles Teller's character, I forgot his name, but when he points out the guy that he wants to work with for the first time. I love the scene where he was in the dance studio working on Beat It, and he was working on these new dance moves. I thought the visuals for all the performances were great. The scene where they took a jab at Prince, where Michael Jackson is laying in a pool with all his brothers and he's working on music, and he's saying that he's trying to listen to the sounds or ideas from God, because if he doesn't listen to the ideas from God, God is going to give his ideas to Prince. This was a fun movie. For what it was, this was a fun movie. I got good acting, I got good production, I got great music, and it looked like everyone in my theater was having a good time. But this movie has been getting killed online, at least from critics, and I feel like from the critics' perspective, they've been going too hard on this movie, but some of those criticisms are valid. The main problem with this movie is this film doesn't go in depth with anything. As a longtime fan, I don't feel like I walked away from this movie really learning anything. It's like they took a lot of the big moments throughout this set period of his life, showed it a little bit, and then moved on. I feel like this movie was made more for younger people who may not know a lot about Michael Jackson. Like if I was born in the late 2000s or at some point during the 2010s and I watched this movie, I would probably say this is a great film. But for older people like me who actually know Michael, this felt more like a highlight reel, and in some cases, a propaganda film. So in the movie, after the Pepsi accident, they put in a scene in which Michael Jackson very clearly states, "I do not want to take pain medication." If you know anything about Michael, you know how medication impacted his life towards the end of his life. So in this movie, they're showing you this moment led to this. In the movie, they were emphasizing the fact that Michael Jackson doesn't have any real friends. They're showing you him buying all these animals. He's talking to these animals. He's talking to a giraffe. He's talking to a llama. He's talking to Bubbles, the CGI monkey in this movie. He's showing you, I do not have any friends. They're also highlighting Peter Pan and Neverland. In real life, we all know what came later. So again, in this movie, they're showing you that this moment led to this. Too much happened in this man's life to cover everything in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. You could make a 2-hour movie strictly covering the Jackson 5. This film took 20 years, crammed it into 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's a lot to condense. For me personally, I would have loved to see them go more in depth with a bunch of different situations. Like I would have loved to see more of the creative process of Off the Wall. I would have loved to see more of the creative process of Thriller. Show me something that I don't already know. This is a very safe movie that's going to go over very well with the average or casual viewer. For the average and casual viewer, they'll watch this and they'll be perfectly fine just watching Jaafar recreate and remake some of their favorite performances and music videos. Like I said, for me, my favorite scene in this entire movie was the Human Nature performance. I thought that scene was great. But at the same time, that scene felt like it was 30 minutes long, and the time from that scene could have been put somewhere else to give us more background and more story. Like I feel like Quincy Jones was barely in this movie. It is not his fault because it's not fair to him, but the Thriller music video in this movie looked terrible. To me, a lot of Jaafar's dance moves throughout this movie didn't look that good, but again, that's not fair to him. We are comparing this man to Michael Jackson. But like I said earlier, I did think he killed it during the Beat It dance rehearsal scene. I thought he did a good job with that. But when it comes to Thriller, I've watched a Thriller music video probably over 1 million times in my life. So when you watch this movie and in the back of your mind, you know what Thriller actually looks like. The movie looks like the Temu version. It's like, imagine your favorite retro Jordans, and then you get the Jordan heels. As of this recording, Michael is projected to make around 100 million in the US and over 200 worldwide, which isn't really surprising. On Rotten Tomatoes, has a critic score of 38% and a fan rating of 97%. And I know the way Rotten Tomatoes accumulates their score is kind of weird, but the percentages that we got from critics and fans, I feel like are both extreme ends of the spectrum. For me, I'm gonna give this movie a 7, which is a good on my scale. Even though I thought Jaafar and Colman both did great in their roles, this movie doesn't really add anything. This movie feels like a money grab to keep Michael's name alive for younger people, which I get, but I feel like this really would have benefited from being a TV series or something. Like me, I'm an old man. I grew up watching American Dream, and if you've watched that show, you know it felt like it was 10 hours long, but that was a great representation. Any avenue that you try to go down, for anyone that tries to do a proper Michael Jackson story, it is going to be too expensive and borderline impossible. Like, I respect and understand Janet Jackson saying she doesn't want anything to do with this movie, but to me, it was hilarious watching this 2-hour movie about Michael Jackson and knowing that Janet Jackson doesn't exist in this cinematic universe. To me, this was a good movie. It wasn't great, but it's also not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And it seems like some people are upset because they didn't really hammer down on allegations and the negative stuff, which that never made sense to me in the first place. Michael Jackson's nephew is playing the lead in this movie. This film is being controlled by the Jackson estate family, whatever. It looks like they're gonna make a part 2. I haven't been able to see any official reports yet, but it looks like they're going to make a part 2. I'm sure they're gonna cover some of that negative stuff, but at the end of the day, they're not probably gonna go in depth as much as some people want them to be. Like with this movie, I feel like some people are upset that they didn't slander Michael enough, which that doesn't make any sense to me, but I enjoyed this. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things on this channel. What are you guys' thoughts on this movie? It seems like the fans and the critics are both on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. So did you love this movie or did you hate this movie? Do you wish this movie would have went more in depth? Do you feel like they should have focused more on music? Do you feel like they focused too much on music? Do you want them to slander Michael? Did this movie live up to your personal expectations? Let me know in the comment section below. Love you guys. As always, remember to tell somebody that you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.